Hello everyone, and welcome back to Toku Toy Theory, where I take a look at toys from various tokusatsu series and try to figure out why they look and act the way they do. This time I'll be taking a look at Kamen Ryugen and his two main forms, Budou arms and Kiwi arms. So, let's begin. To start, we'll look at the base suit for Kamen Ryugen. As you can see, his color scheme is green with gold accents. The head, you can see, has an interesting dragon-like look to it, with the kind of eyebrow pieces looking like horns, and the mouthpiece looking like it has some teeth to it. Going down to the body, you can see that his suit, or undersuit, is designed after a Chinese martial arts robe, with the front cloth folding over and then coming down to cover the groin area. This accented pattern is a flame design. You can see on the gauntlets, the front of the cloth down here, and on his thighs. And then he keeps the same shared elements with the other riders, being the wrist cuffs, the armor plates on the back of the hands, knee pads, and the shin guards. This is all reflected in his faceplate, which features a profile shot of his head, as well as the flame pattern in green. Next we have the Budou lockseed and the Budou armor part. So as Budou means grapes in Japanese, but these are based on a bunch of grapes. And while they're not exactly identical in terms of design, you can still see some shared design elements, such as the green stem, the purple grapes, and the gold around the individual grapes. The lockseed itself also has a bit of flame designs on the outside. And the grape armor part, while it looks pretty good from the front, is one that doesn't quite get the shape right just based on the way the design and the armor works. Being a lot more boxy. Especially because of the frame foreshadowing to the rider. And we have the activation sound, which gives a Chinese style flair, or an East Asian flair. And then after an East Asian strings piece, we have the transformation into Budou arms. So here we have Kamen Ryugen Budou arms. Now you can see that the front part of the grapes, or the armor part, collapsed into this 6-grape chest plate. You have these layered shoulder pads, as well as the back of the helmet, which has these little flares off the side, and a ponytail-like piece on top. And with all these elements combined, this has basically allowed me to conclude that this is most likely based on the armor of a Chinese general from the Chinese Ming Dynasty. That's a pretty overall clean look that folds up quite nicely. This is equipped with the Budou Rijo, which, like the Daimaru and Bana Spear, has a deluxe toy version. So, we'll look at it more closely with that. So here we have the Budou Rijo. Now this is somewhat of a hybrid weapon, as this is essentially a mix between a modern handgun and an ancient Chinese weapon whose name, roughly translated, means three-eyed cannon. It was a 3-barreled gun that was fired by lighting a fuse. Though in this case, the 3-barrel would become 6 barrels to represent a 6, well, a bunch of 6 grapes, rather. Then you have a bunch of grapes that's integrated as the main body, with the stem becoming a lever on the back. Now, the general idea behind how it fires is that it seems to basically fire grape energy bullets that give a splat on contact. Now, what makes it really interesting is the special attack, which is activated using this trigger back here. You actually hear the kind of burning of the fuse as it charges. And then with the firing sound, it does sound like fireworks, as it's most likely that ancient Chinese, or rather the first Chinese firearms, were developed from fireworks. Next we have the Kiwi Lockseed and the Kiwi armor part. Now the biggest difference you'll see between these two is the color. Whereas the Kiwi armor part has a nice brown color that is definitely resembling or similar to the brown color of a kiwi, the Kiwi Lockseed has a more grayish color, which is probably meant to be similar to how the little hairs on the outside of a kiwi do give it a kind of grayish shade. That being said, they do share a similar pattern with these little lines that are meant to represent those little fuzzy hairs on the outside of a kiwi. But besides that, there isn't too much in terms of similarities. And just like with the banana and mango Lockseeds, the Budou and Kiwi Lockseeds share the same initial flare upon activation. And here we have Kamen Ryugen Kiwi arms. Now this armor has a very interesting design to it, and it's one that I couldn't really pinpoint any specific source or any real-world armor that was quite similar to this, or at least enough to pinpoint one source. You can see that there's some flares or kind of kiwi parts that stick out from the sides of the helmets. You can see the chest piece with sliced kiwi up here. On one shoulder pad, you can see another part where part of the kiwi is sliced off to reveal the inside, while the other has the top of the kiwi. And as far as the weapon goes, in this form he has a pair of blade rings called the Kiwi Yankee. Now some sources will say that these are based on Chinese weapons called the wind and fire wheels, but going into research on that revealed they're not quite based on them, as the wind and fire wheels had flame-like protrusions that stuck out from them, whereas these ones are more fully rounded, so these are actually more based on similar weapons called the sun and moon rings. And like with the Mango Punisher, I had to look to these for my speculation on what the armor would be based on. Now, my initial speculation is that what I found is that these weapons were imported to China from Mongolia, so one of my speculations is that this could be based on Mongolian armor, which often had a lot of rounded shapes and was often brown in color. Or, since these are weapons that are primarily used in martial arts like Baguazhang and Tai Chi, that they may have been based on armor from the time period when those martial arts were created, and at least as far as Baguazhang goes, that was created in the Qing dynasty, though another possibility would be armor from the Yuan dynasty, but like I said, this is one where I just really wasn't able to pinpoint it, so all I really have is speculation. But with that said, it is still a pretty unique and interesting looking armor. Now, Kamen Rider Ryugen also got a third form later in the series called Motes Higiri Arms, but not only do I not have the lock seat or figure for it, meaning I can't cover it in the show, or rather, can't cover it here, but there are some problems with adding it in, as not only was it not based on an actual fruit, but based on more of a conceptual fruit from Japanese mythology. But while there was a little bit different in the base suit with a slightly different cloth piece, the actual armor itself was a recolored mix of parts from Budou and Kiwi arms, using a recolor of the Budou arms armor and the Kiwi arms headpiece. So that part is one that'll have to be left out of this video. So that was Kamen Rider Ryugen. I think out of all the episodes I've done of this series so far, this is the one that most solidifies the theory part of the title. Because while it's definitely able to get a lot of solid facts down for the basis behind the armor and weapon of Ryugen Budou arms, with Kiwi arms it was a lot more up in the air, especially in terms of the armor, whereas pretty solidly able to get down the basis for the weapons. Because they're the base of a weapon that is primarily used in martial arts where armor isn't used, the basis of the Kiwi armor is really just up in the air, and I'm not sure if it's Mongolian or Chinese. So that also means that, can't be entirely sure whether Ryugen is a purely Chinese-based rider, or if he's supposed to be a generally Asian rider. And I guess that kind of goes along with how his name Ryugen translates to Dragon Mystery, as there is still some element of mystery left to him. And while it's not the most satisfying conclusion, it is the best I can do, and I still think that what they're doing so far with the armor and the use of the fruits, in terms of the armor and weapons as well, is still pretty interesting. So, next time I'll be doing the Yokai Watch Togenyan Pla model. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and or subscribe, and you can share me on Facebook at facebook.com/KRX50. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.